Rudy Wetzel walked away from a YouTube empire with over 1 million subscribers. His father's channel, Matt's Off-Road Recovery, was at its peak, pulling in millions of views every month. Rudy was the eldest son, the natural heir to the throne, the guy everyone expected would take over one day. But in April 2022, he left. No drama, no public fallout, just gone. Most fans thought they knew why. He wanted to start his own thing. But the real story, it's way more complicated than anyone realizes, and the timing of his departure reveals everything. Rudy Wetzel walked away from a YouTube empire with over 1 million subscribers. His father's channel, Matt's Off-Road Recovery, was at its peak, pulling in millions of views every month. Rudy was the eldest son, the natural heir to the throne, the guy everyone expected would take over one day. But in April 2022, he left. No drama, no public fallout, just gone. Most fans thought they knew why. He wanted to start his own thing. It's way more complicated than anyone realizes, and the timing of his departure reveals everything. From the very beginning, Rudy was the face alongside his father. He wasn't just another crew member grabbing a paycheck. This was family. The Moarver, that iconic blue and white Chevy that became the channel's trademark, was built by Rudy and Matt together. Bolt by bolt, father and son creating something that would eventually rescue thousands of stranded vehicles across the Utah desert. Fans loved watching their dynamic. Matt was the experienced voice, calm under pressure, always knowing exactly what to do. Rudy was the young gun, learning the ropes, eager to prove himself. Every video showed their bond. They'd joke around during recoveries, work through mechanical problems together, celebrate successful pulls like they just won the lottery. The comments section was filled with people saying Rudy would inherit the business someday. It seemed inevitable. This was a family empire in the making, and Rudy was being groomed to take the throne. But if you paid close attention, there were signs. Rudy's smile didn't always reach his eyes. During downtime between recoveries, he'd drift toward fabrication projects instead of recovery prep. He'd light up when talking about building something from scratch, but seemed just okay when discussing towing techniques. The passion wasn't equal. Recovery was his father's dream, not his. And that difference, small as it seemed, would eventually become a canyon too wide to cross. Here's something most people forget. Rudy served a mission for the eldest church, which is common in Mormon culture. These missions typically last 2 years, and young men return changed, matured, with a clearer sense of purpose. Rudy came back in late 2020, ready to jump into the family business. He'd been featured on the channel before his mission, but now he was back full-time, camera-ready, a permanent fixture in every video. But here's the thing nobody talks about. Rudy only worked with his dad for about 2 years after returning. 2 years. That's it. For someone supposedly being groomed to inherit a multi-million-dollar operation, that's an incredibly short stint. Most family businesses see the next generation stick around for 5, 10, even 20 years before taking over. Rudy barely made it past 24 months. During that time, he started dating Janelle. Anyone who's been in a serious relationship knows how that changes your perspective. Suddenly, you're not just thinking about yourself anymore. You're building a future with someone else, making plans that extend beyond the daily grind. Janelle became a regular presence in his life, and with her came new dreams, new possibilities, a life outside the recovery world. Friends and family started asking the hard questions. Where do you see yourself in 5 years? What do you really want? And every time Rudy answered honestly, the response had less to do with tow trucks and more to do with building, creating, designing. The mission had given him clarity. Now he just needed the courage to act on it. In an interview with Decent Garage, Rudy finally opened up about what life was really like behind the scenes, and what he revealed was eye-opening. The filming schedule was relentless. Every recovery had to be documented, every moment captured for content. It wasn't just about saving stranded vehicles anymore. It was about angles, B-roll, keeping the audience engaged, making sure every video hit that 10-minute mark for maximum ad revenue. Rudy admitted the tight schedule didn't allow him to tell his own story. Everything was filtered through the lens of Matt's off-road recovery. His struggles, his growth, his personal journey, all of it had to fit into someone else's narrative. There were challenges he wanted to face, experiences he wanted to have, but the camera was always rolling and the story being told wasn't really his. Recovery work had never been his passion. Let that sink in. The thing he was doing every single day, the thing fans assumed he loved, wasn't what made him excited to wake up in the morning. Fabrication was building something from nothing, taking a pile of metal and turning it into a functioning machine. That's what lit him up inside. But on his father's channel, fabrication was just a side project, something squeezed in between recoveries when time allowed. He felt trapped in someone else's narrative, Imagine spending your 20s living out your parents' dream instead of chasing your own. The paycheck was good, the fame was real, but none of it mattered because he was becoming someone he didn't recognize. Something had to give. Now here's where things get interesting. December 2021, Matt Wetzel gets charged with insurance fraud. The details were brutal. Over $15,000 in false claims submitted to AAA. Prosecutors alleged he'd been billing for services not rendered, inflating costs, playing games with the system. For a business built on trust and helping stranded motorists, this was devastating. February 2022, Matt pleads no contest to a Class A misdemeanor. He avoids jail time but gets probation, fines, and a permanent mark on his record. The plea deal makes headlines in the towing community. Some fans defend him, saying the charges are overblown. Others feel betrayed, questioning whether other aspects of the business were equally shady. April 2022, 2 months later, Rudy leaves. He announces his departure professionally, thanking his dad, expressing gratitude for the opportunity, wishing everyone well. No mention of the legal troubles, no hint of disagreement, just a clean break. Coincidence? Maybe. But the timeline is impossible to ignore. Imagine being in Rudy's position. Your father, the man you've worked alongside for 2 years, just pleaded guilty to fraud. The family business is under scrutiny. Every recovery gets a second look from skeptical viewers. The comment sections are brutal, filled with accusations and demands for explanations. Staying meant being associated with that controversy forever. Leaving meant a fresh start, a clean slate, a chance to build something without the baggage. Rudy chose himself, and honestly, who could blame him? Sometimes the hardest decision is also the right one. What's remarkable about Rudy's departure is how quietly it happened. No explosive arguments caught on camera, no bitter social media posts, no tell-all interviews airing dirty laundry for views. He simply announced he was starting his own channel and moved on. In the YouTube drama ecosystem, where every beef gets monetized and every disagreement becomes content, Rudy's silence was deafening. Fans immediately started speculating. The comment sections went wild with theories. Some blamed Lizzie, another crew member, suggesting romantic drama or personality conflicts. Others claimed Matt pushed Rudy out after the legal troubles, trying to protect his son from the fallout. A few conspiracy theorists insisted there was a massive fight that got covered up, that the friendly farewell was all for show. None of it was true. Lizzie had nothing to do with it. Matt didn't force Rudy out. There was no hidden scandal, no secret betrayal. The truth was simpler and somehow sadder. Rudy just wanted something different. He wanted to chase his own dreams instead of living in someone else's shadow. He wanted creative control, personal freedom, the ability to succeed or fail on his own terms. But simple truths don't satisfy people hungry for drama. They kept digging, kept theorizing, kept waiting for the other shoe to drop. Meanwhile, Rudy stayed focused, stayed professional, maintained good terms with his father and the crew. He showed up at off-road events where Matt's team was present. They'd chat, laugh, share updates. No awkwardness, no tension. Just a son who'd chosen a different path, and a father who'd eventually come to respect that decision. Rudy's adventure in design launched with a clear mission. This wasn't going to be another recovery channel copying his father's formula. This was about fabrication, creativity, building dream machines from the ground up. Hot rods, rock crawlers, custom rigs that pushed boundaries and showcased what was possible when passion met skill. Finally, Rudy could tell his story without filters, without someone else directing the narrative. Finding a shop was the first challenge. You can't build an empire without a workspace, and quality shop space isn't cheap. Rudy got lucky. Through his employer at Underground Storage Solutions, he connected with someone who had space available. It wasn't massive, it wasn't fancy, but it was his. A place where he could work at his own pace, take on projects that excited him, film content that actually reflected his personality. The early videos were raw but authentic. Rudy would explain his design choices, walk viewers through fabrication techniques, show the failures alongside the successes. There was no pretending everything went perfectly, no hiding the struggles or the setbacks, just honest content about building cool stuff. And people loved it. Subscribers started rolling in, not because of his last name or his father's audience, but because the content was genuine. Rudy was finally in his element, doing what he'd always wanted to do. The comment sections filled with support, encouragement, people who appreciated seeing someone chase their passion unapologetically. He'd taken the biggest risk of his life, and it was paying off in ways he'd never imagined. Freedom, it turns out, was worth more than guaranteed success. 2 years. That's all it took for Rudy to prove the doubters wrong. His channel exploded past 250,000 subscribers, a milestone that took his father years to achieve. Views climbed steadily, sponsorships rolled in, major brands wanted partnerships. Companies saw what Rudy had built and wanted to be part of it. He wasn't riding anyone's coattails anymore. He was the draw, the talent, the reason people clicked. The content evolved as his confidence grew. Bigger projects, more ambitious builds, collaborations with other fabricators who respected his work. Every video showcased his growth, not just as a builder but as a storyteller. He'd found his voice, and it resonated with an audience hungry for authentic content in a space crowded with clickbait and manufactured drama. Here's the best part. Rudy still shows up at off-road events where Matt's crew is present. They chat, they laugh, they support each other's work. There's no bad blood, no lingering resentment. Matt sees his son thriving and feels pride, even if the path wasn't what he'd originally envisioned. Rudy proved you don't need your family's name to succeed. You just need the courage to chase what makes you come alive. His success became a blueprint for others stuck in similar situations. The comments fill with people saying Rudy inspired them to leave dead-end jobs, pursue forgotten dreams, bet on themselves even when it seemed reckless. He didn't just build a channel, he built proof that following your passion beats following expectations every single time. Rudy's story isn't about abandoning family or burning bridges. It's about choosing authenticity over comfort. He could have stayed with Matt's off-road recovery, collected a steady paycheck, lived a predictable life doing work that didn't fulfill him. Millions of people make that choice every day, trading passion for security, telling themselves it's the responsible thing to do. But Rudy chose differently. He looked at his future and realized staying meant becoming someone he wasn't. It meant spending decades pretending to love something that only made him feel empty. The legal troubles probably accelerated his timeline, forcing conversations that might have happened years later. But even without the fraud charges, Rudy was always going to leave. It was just a matter of when. Sometimes the hardest thing is walking away from what's comfortable. Family businesses come with built-in audiences, established reputations, safety nets that catch you when you stumble. Starting from scratch means risking everything, facing the possibility that maybe you're not as talented as you think, that maybe you'll fail spectacularly and prove all the doubters right. Rudy risked it anyway, and his success isn't measured just in subscribers or sponsorships. It's measured in fulfillment, in waking up excited about the day ahead, in building something that's genuinely his. He chose personal dreams over family legacy, and both he and his father are better for it. So here's the question. If you were in Rudy's position, what would you choose? The guaranteed path or the uncertain one that might actually make you happy? Think about it.